Welcome back to CAISTROLOGY, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Cailin, and today I'm going to be doing your June 2021 horoscopes. Wow, June is a huge month astrologically speaking, guys. We've got a new Moon Solar Eclipse in Gemini, followed closely by the astrological event of the year, and that is the Saturn in Aquarius retro square Uranus in Taurus transit. And to top it off, we've got Mercury retrograde for the first 3 weeks of the month. If you didn't catch my May horoscopes, I strongly suggest that you watch the last few minutes of those, because I will discuss the Mercury retrograde transit for your sign at length. I won't be going over it again this month. If you want to skip the rest of this intro, go right ahead. I've got a timestamp in the description box below. But for the rest of you who are sticking around, just a note on which horoscope to watch. Your ascendant horoscope, otherwise known as your rising sign horoscope, will be the most accurate for you overall. By all means, go ahead and watch your sun and moon horoscopes as well. Your sun will pertain more to your career and your long-term goals, whereas your moon horoscope will be more about your home life, your living circumstances, and your emotional world. So without further ado, let's dive straight into the horoscopes. Hi Virgo, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your June 2021 horoscope. The month starts off with Mars in Cancer in your 11th house, opposing Pluto in Capricorn in your 5th house. This transit is taking place on the 6th of June, and you may experience a bit of tension and friction with siblings, relatives, or friends. Mars and Pluto both rule your 3rd house, which indicates these individuals, and the nature of this tension or even arguments could be with regard to your choice of romantic partner, your hobbies, how you parent your children, or even just the notion of you working for yourself. They may say that they are looking out for you and your long-term goals, which is represented by your 11th house, and they may just be questioning whether your current choices, again in terms of romance, children, and your creative passions and hobbies, are in alignment with you and your long-term goals. On a different note, you may be experiencing tension between your current mentality, which is represented by Mars and Pluto ruling your 3rd house, versus your long-term goals and aspirations. And this could be, again, with regard to owning your own business, children, whether you want children or not, and your love life. Now, on the 10th of June, there will be a new moon solar eclipse at 19 degrees Gemini, and it will be in your 10th house of career and public visibility, and it will also be in a very tight conjunction with your ruling planet, which is Mercury. Mercury will actually be retrograde at the time of this eclipse, and it will all be squaring Neptune in Pisces in your 7th house. New moons always indicate new beginnings, and new moon solar eclipses are essentially new moons on steroids. So this new beginning, which will take place, will impact you dramatically, not just in terms of your career, but this will really be impacting your whole course in life, because it is conjunct your ruling planet. The fact that Mercury is retrograde means that this new beginning, which is going to take place in your career, will be something which you have already tried to initiate before. You may have put it on pause for a while, or perhaps there may have been some kind of big delay with getting this off the ground. You may have been angling for a promotion or a change of job title. Maybe you tried to do this quite a while ago, or maybe you asked your boss about it ages ago and they shut you down, and now there is a second chance for you to get this promotion or achieve this change in job title. You may actually become your own boss, because Mercury rules your career, which is your 10th house, and it rules you, which is your 1st house. So maybe this is something which you wanted to do ages ago, and now the timing is right. And just with regard to this Neptune involvement here, squares indicate there being some kind of tug of war or clash here. Neptune demands some kind of sacrifice. It represents sacrifice, it represents loss, and the fact that it's squared And the fact that the solar eclipse is square to Neptune in your 7th house, which is your partnerships, means that you may actually have to let go of a relationship or a contract in order to get this new beginning to take place. So you may have to actually disappoint someone by ending a relationship. It may be with a business partner, it may be with your boss because your 10th house represents bosses and organizations and companies, or your significant other or your spouse may have to make a very big sacrifice, as represented by Neptune in the 7th house, in order for you to take this exciting new opportunity. On a different note, this can indicate you resigning and now your partner has to bear some kind of financial burden, or perhaps you are retiring. And again, this is the end of a contract and maybe your partner has to support you. Now, on the 11th of June, Mars will enter the sign of Leo, and this will be in your 12th house. So with Mars in your 12th house for 7 weeks, you can really experience some kind of psychological breakthrough during this time. Mars represents sharp objects, and the 12th house is really about, the veil between our conscious reality and our subconscious life. So with Mars here, it can really pierce this veil and allow you to have a breakthrough which is psychological in nature or spiritual in nature. Maybe you'll be working with a psychologist or an astrologer or a tarot reader. This can also see you working really hard at meditation and also in analyzing your dreams. You may experience disturbed sleep over the next 7 weeks because you're working through things at a very deep and psychological level, and you could even be working through psychological issues during your sleep. Now, this transit can also see you doing a lot of deep research. And on a different note, just be mindful that the 12th house represents hidden enemies, and Mars rules your 3rd house, which is the house of friends, co-workers and clients. So just be careful about gossiping. So if you hear something on the grapevine, with this particular transit, all I'm going to say is where there's smoke, there's fire. So just follow your nose. If you think that someone is not being truthful with you, or if it feels like they're twisting the narrative somehow, just do a little more research into this because you can make a discovery in this department. Now, on the 15th of June, we will see the Saturn in Aquarius square Uranus in Taurus transit. Saturn will be retrograde in your 6th house, and it will be squaring Uranus, which is in your 9th house. This transit can see you investing 3 times more effort than normal into your daily work, which is represented by Saturn in the 6th house. And this can be really challenging for you because it may feel like all of this work that you're doing is holding you back from going on adventures, which is represented by the 9th house. Working so hard, whether that's in your daily job or doing some kind of apprenticeship, could be impeding your travel plans, your study and your education pursuits. It could be blocking your ability to expand your horizons, or it might just feel like it's harder for you to achieve your long-term vision for the future. And the 6th house represents, the mundane tedium of everyday life. When we have a Saturn retrograde square, we can really just be working so much harder than we thought that we had to. Already, retrogrades represent putting in at least 3 times more effort than normal, but Saturn is a planet which demands hard work, consistency, showing up every day, repeating the same thing over and over again and practicing it until we get it right. This transit is all about investing further and mastery. So if you are, currently working in a job which you're not that keen on, or which it's just really grueling and takes a lot of effort, it may just be that much harder for you to stay in this job. You may feel like it's not actually in alignment with your belief systems and your big dreams and your vision for the future, which is represented by Uranus in the 9th house. But there may be some real world demands and obligations which you have to fulfill, and you simply can't, break away from this job just yet. It may feel like the job that you're in is not in alignment with your religious beliefs or your spiritual beliefs, or maybe it's just not exciting enough for the kind of life that you wanted. And yet this transit is asking you to continue and persist. And the reason I say that is because fixed sign squares between Aquarius and Taurus are all about maintaining something and investing in it further. But having said that, the retrograde element of this transit is asking you to pivot and change, because on this current trajectory, you simply cannot go on like this. Something big needs to shift in your everyday life or in your long-term vision for the future in order for you to maintain your sanity in this scenario. And also the sixth house represents your physical health and well-being. So you will have to make some kind of adjustment to the workload that you are currently burdened with, because this will be impacting your ability to travel in the future, or it may be having a very detrimental effect on your ability to expand your horizons further. On a different note, you may be changing your health dramatically to allow you to travel, or it could be in relation to some kind of religious or spiritual purification. For example, you may need to fast, which would be implicated by this 6th and 9th house square. On a different note, you may be in the process of converting religions, so converting to a new religion or a new spiritual practice. And you may be in the apprentice stage of this conversion, which is requiring you to do copious amounts of studying or work, or you may even have to eliminate certain things from your daily life which impact your health. For example, you may have to cut out drinking, or you may have to become a vegan or a vegetarian in order for you to get to the next level in your apprenticeship or to really master this spiritual practice. On the 21st of June, Jupiter will station retrograde in Pisces in your 7th house. Jupiter has been transiting your 7th house for about 5 weeks now, and Jupiter represents knowledge and learning. So with Jupiter stationing retrograde, this is really a moment for you to take stock of all of your relationships and really decipher whether they are healthy. This transit will require you to analyze whether your boundaries in your relationships are healthy and whether they are being respected. Any new relationships which you've formed over the last 5 weeks will now undergo some kind of rigorous analysis process. So you may be reassessing whether you have made the right decision to enter into a romantic relationship, a business contract, or even a close one-on-one friendship. Now, on the 24th of June, Venus in Cancer in your 11th house will oppose Pluto in Capricorn in your 5th house. Again, with oppositions, they always have some kind of tension or friction, and it can be between two different parties, or with Pluto being an outer planet, this could be about the psychological pressure that you are feeling within. Your 5th house is all about what you create, whereas your 11th house is one of the houses which rules over your long-term goals and aspirations. Venus and Pluto are both connected to money and wealth. So for some of you, you may feel challenged about your self-worth and staying true to being a creator versus your financial state and where you want to be in the future. Maybe you want to be an actor, a performer, a singer, or you want to own your own business, and you're struggling to incorporate this into your daily life because Pluto rules your 3rd house. Maybe you haven't seen the financial return on the investment of your time in these creative pursuits, these passions, or these hobbies. The 11th house represents rewards and investments, and oppositions represent something reaching its fullest potential. So if you have been working at becoming self-employed or being a performer, you may have a moment where you realize that you are going to need to do something in addition to this creative life in order to supplement your financial situation. Your financial goals may be challenged by your desire to have children, as represented by the 5th house. And lastly, if you are in a romantic relationship, you may have an argument with your significant other over your long-term goals and your financial goals. Lastly, for June 2021, on the 25th of the month, we will see a full moon in Capricorn at 3 degrees occurring in your 5th house. This will be sextiling Jupiter in your 7th house, and the sun will be trining Jupiter in your 7th house. So if you've been working on launching a new business, which is actually also supported by the previous transit with Venus in Cancer opposing Pluto in Capricorn, it may be ready to put out into the world. And perhaps this Venus in Cancer opposition with Pluto in Capricorn could have just seen there being a lot of build up in, tension and getting everything ready for the launch of this new business venture. If you've been working on something creative, it may be ready to, again, launch out into the public. Now, if you have children, your child can achieve some kind of milestone in their life, and it will be positive in nature because of this sextile to Jupiter. This milestone in your child's life could be connected to their education, their early development, or even a breakthrough with forming friendships with other people. So Virgo, that's all I have for you for June 2021. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content from me at CAISTROLOGY, please subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoy the month ahead, and I will see you guys next time.